All right, this afternoon's panel topic is comedy more than laughs. We have 4 panel participants and 4 special guests that will discuss what steps performers can take off stage to advance their career, successful ways to diversify your business as a comedian, and some of the turn-offs that bookers and industry face when dealing with comedians. We'll have audience Q&A towards the end of the panel, so without further ado, let's introduce our panel. We've got Naela Durrani from America's Got Talent, The Gong Show, and a new show on Fox, I Can See Your Voice. We've got Cyrus Mehfhar from Levity Live and SoCal Improv. Jack Assadourin Jr. from NoHo Comedy Festival and HaHa Comedy Club. And to my immediate right, Chuck Johnson with Summit Comedy.
Yeah!
All right, so let's kick off this panel. So what is the most important thing a performer can do to help their career besides being funny?
Quit.
Just quit.
Sorry.
Cyrus, go ahead.
I'd say just be a cool guy. Be a cool woman. Just be good to the staff. Be easy to work with. Be all the other things that you need to other than being funny. You know, people talk. You know, the staff talks to upper management, and you know it falls down the line. So if you're just overall good to people, I think it'll just come back around.
Yeah, I've been asked this question many times, and I always feel like just don't be a dick. I mean, everybody out there is supposed to be funny, right? I mean, as far as an agent, you're always looking for funny. Funny always wins, but then you get down to the point like, all right, that guy's funny, but he's an asshole, or she's a prima donna, or whatever. So make yourself accessible and just don't be an ass. I mean, it's pretty simple. What we do is so simple. I mean, you tell the jokes, we sell the jokes. So, I mean, the rest is just easy to make it work, as long as you're just low maintenance and get your job done. So.
I'll go to that point of being low maintenance. At the end of the day, I think the people that I work hardest for are people that when I give them directions, they label things, they send the emails the right way, they don't wait a week to call me. So, you know, sometimes it's like, help me help you by doing half of the work, you know, don't just be like, oh, here's my link, look at my stuff. It's just, you know, I don't know what the word is.
Counterproductive.
Yeah. Be productive, be active, be productive, and
be reliable.
Be reliable, you know. But also be nice about it. Don't just be like, oh well, here's my stuff. You should look at it.
Treat yourself as a business.
Yeah,
you are
exactly.
your own business. I mean, regardless if you have representation or not, you still need to be. You're your biggest fan. You would hope that of your stand-up. So if you have somebody looking out for you, whether it's management or an agent, you know, pushing you in the market, or if not, I mean, you still need to help promote your own brand. I mean, because you can only do so much on your end, and so that's my thoughts.
I think you guys should help each other too. A lot of comics I've noticed, they get in cliques, and then that's my clique. You're only going to be funny. Surround yourself with funny people, and you'll become funnier. If you hang out with shitty comics, you're going to be a shitty comic. Sorry.
And on the topic of hanging out with comics, like if you have a local comedy club, hang out at your local comedy club. Just go there even if you don't have a spot. Like, just go hang out. See other comics, see what's going on. I think just running in those circles, sometimes seeing them can motivate you or push you. So I think just being around it consistently, treat it like it's a full-time job.
Also, don't forget to branch out because you need to know who else is out there, you know, what other shows are out there.
Yeah.
Like America's Got Talent.
Like America's Got Talent.
No, I meant like this
What's
silly
that?
little vape shop on some corner who has like a really great show or something like that.
And if you
like,
want to make it America's Got Talent, get sick.
You know, go to some bar.
Get a limp.
I think Naela makes a really good point
I'm
about
a
diversifying
punching bag. It is
your.
totally okay. It's fine. It's not like I didn't cast the winner.
Go
It's
blind,
okay.
get a limp.
Who beat a comedian? Ooh, the room got really quiet with that one.
And he didn't see it coming.
He didn't. He didn't see it coming.
I think Naela brings up a really good point of being trying to diversify your act, and that kind of brings us to our next question. In 2019, is it possible or realistic to just do stand-up and nothing else?
No.
I'd say for sure. I think, you know, if you're good enough, you can make it work. There are comics out there that just are content with just working the road and don't have aspirations of TV, film, or whatever. And I was hanging out with Chad Daniels just 2 weeks ago, and he's like, do I really even need a manager? It's like, I just want to tell jokes like on stage. I don't give a shit about all the other stuff. So perfect example. Like, if you're funny enough, you can just make it work. I mean, make a living doing it. So
I feel like if you don't want to have a family and you're okay with being alone, then the road is for you. But the road sucks. It's depressing. It's very lonely. You hang out with strangers every night. You ended up making really bad decisions. I'm sorry again.
all of a sudden came Jack's TED Talk here. Is this the after conversation or the before?
I said this to Chuck yesterday, and it's kind of a cheesy quote, but someone said it to me, and they said, it's not about making $1 anymore. It's about making 20 nickels. But with that said, I still think you can just do stand-up and be successful. But I think doing all the other stuff gives you a better chance to succeed because you're kind of, and especially with, camera phones and YouTube and social media, like your ability to build your own brand by doing so many different things, like I think is to your advantage. But it's tough to juggle. It's tough to really write consistently and go up consistently and do the other stuff of writing and producing and directing and trying to act. And but I think it plays to your advantage.
I think you have to define success by what you want. Do you want to be a road comedian or do you want to be on TV? If you want to be on TV, then yeah, you have to take those improv classes. You have to learn a little acting. We've had comedians on AGT who are great stand-ups but can't act, So, you just have to define what success means to you first, I think, and then go from there.
Thanks, guys. And just make sure you're talking into the microphone. I just got a notification from our sound guy.
All right, let's do it again.
Get off.
Let's start all over.
Well, we're going to start from the beginning. Hi, welcome. Thank you, guys.
I don't do this.
So what's the most memorable thing a performer has done to grab your attention, both in a positive manner and in a negative manner, whether it's reaching out for bookings or sending a video link? What are some positive and negative examples that you guys can share?
Knowing my first and last name and if I have a son or a daughter. Because I got an email from a comic, hey, man, how's your daughter doing? And I was like, I have a son. I was like, nice try, but yeah, I don't know, just being likable, like I said, just being genuine, being real, and just, like all these guys, man. These guys I know all these guys. They're really good people, It's the ones I don't talk to is because I don't like them.
The best thing someone's done for me, and I definitely, I don't think everyone is the same person as I am. I know I'm a little different, especially with casting and everything. But there was a female comedian who came to the North Carolina Comedy Festival this year and missed me by a day. So she drove herself up to New York and was participating in a competition that I was at, to see showcase talent and everything. But she messaged me and she was like, hey, I missed you at North Carolina. I'm really excited to meet you. And I was like, oh my God, this girl took the time. She found out where I was going to be. She wants to be seen. She wants to be on my show. She's taking the time to reach out to me professionally. So I was like, why don't we grab dinner before the showcase? I'll give you my extra time. And I got to learn all about her, and it was just like this really friendly professionalism that I really enjoyed about her, and that was one way that she really grabbed my attention. And now, every time she emails me, I open that email right away, because I know what she's gonna send me is professional. The worst thing and it's happened multiple times, and I'm sure it's happened to Chuck and you guys as well, is someone's like, I want to be on TV, and that's it. It's like, what the. Who are you? Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Just make sure you guys are writing professionally when you reach out to people.
Gift cards are good too. She likes dinners. I like gift cards.
I paid for that dinner.
I'm joking. No, you didn't. No way.
It was just dim sum.
Yeah, I'd say professionalism. I think
professionalism.
I just, from your take from what you said, I would agree with everything you said. Professionalism, not understanding that we're all pretty busy and we're all got a lot going on. So if someone doesn't get back to you immediately, just know it's okay to follow up. Following up, totally. I actually recommend following up, but I don't know. Calling someone excessively, I think, or emailing someone excessively is something that I really don't like, and it makes it seem like you're not easy to work with.
And you're not getting work.
Desperate.
Desperate.
Professionalism.
How important of a part does an agent, manager, or representation play?
Again, there's so many different avenues in the comedy world. I mean, I always look at it like there's a big comedy wheel, and a lot of them start with C's. You know, the colleges, the corporates, the clubs, the cruises, the churches. They're all spokes of the comedy wheel. So there's so many different avenues. So some guy, if you can do all the spokes on the comedy wheel, I mean, it's fucking amazing. You can get it into so many things and get so much work. But some people just don't write their material that way. Like, all right. They usually start with the clubs. I mean, I've seen some comics just start with colleges, and they make a good living doing the colleges. There's one on my college roster right now. He maybe does one club a year, but yet he'll do anywhere from 50 to 70 colleges a year. And, you know, again, you talked about successful. Like, he feels like he's successful in that market, and he's making a good living. So it just depends on what avenue and what, you want to go down. I forgot the original question, but that's
that was great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next question, please.
Any other comments on working with a manager or how that would be important for a career?
For television, personally, I don't care if you have a manager or not. There's people in this festival that have gotten on shows I've cast. They didn't have managers or agents, but I think after the fact, maybe if you're on my show, you definitely need somebody, because these requests are going to come in and you need to understand how to manage, especially if you don't understand the business aspect. So, you know, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, take a business class. I mean, it's not like a far-fetched idea. You go to any community college or whatever, take a semester of business class, like just simple marketing, whatever, to help promote yourself. And I mean, it's actually pretty brilliant.
I mean, you need help too when you get to a certain level to someone to read the contracts, because some of you don't want to get screwed over, so you hire like a manager to take care of you, right? What are you doing?
Taking photos.
America's Got Talent over here.
What's the one mistake you guys have seen people make that ruined their career or even their chance or shot at a career?
What's the guy that just got fired from SNL?
Oh, yeah, that guy.
That's Shane Gillis. I mean, you know what? We're in a world that you have to watch what you say when you put it out there, and there is a spotlight on it. So, you know. Which is crazy. Well, for right now.
His success is that he wants to be a road comedian, obviously.
That's.
Naela booked him.
No, I did not.
That's a a relative point, just a now of that. So I mean, it's a tricky scenario in that. Like, I mean, here this guy got the best gig in comedy, and within 5 days he got fired. I mean, it was last Wednesday that they announced it, and on Monday that he got fired. So I've never seen anything like that. Like, the turnaround is crazy. So yeah, so there's that. I mean, Vince Champ
Book
is a
this
good
guy.
story. You ever heard the Vince Champ story? Yeah, Google Vince Champ. That's a great story. He did the college market back in the 90s, and turns out he was raping girls along the way on his college tour.
Wow.
And clean comic. He won Star Search back in the day, and he was one of the most booked comics in the college market. Vince Champ. And yeah. So things like that. I mean, these are all examples in the comedy business that initially I'm thinking of, obviously past and current. But so yeah, those are things. So
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, what's one mistake you've seen people make that's ruined their career or even their shot at a career?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about career, but definitely working with me or me having passed their name around or something is definitely somebody who's rude on stage. I've seen somebody come on the stage and just start flipping off the audience. You know, they thought it was funny, and I'm like, it really wasn't. You know, again, it comes down to professionalism, I think. That's the one thing that's ruined. You know, there was somebody last year who was bad-mouthing on a podcast or on the radio show or something, another female comedian, and after working with him for 2 years, I just kind of stepped away. I was like, I don't want to work with you anymore. So I think it comes down to professionalism and respect.
Cyrus, any thoughts on this?
I think comedy is a business of second chances for the most part. I think like if you do something completely unethical, like Vince, then there's no coming back. But I think for the most part, like, I don't know if there's any one thing that you can do that like torpedoes your career. I think for the most part, like you said, the Shane Gillis thing, like now he's selling out clubs. It really is a business of second chances, and I think, you know, for the most part, mistakes happen. People go out on a limb in comedy, and I think I would like to think it's a business of second chances. So I would
Well,
hope
look at
that-
Louis C.K.
Yeah,
He's
I would
back,
hope that
and
unless it's something completely unethical, that they have an opportunity to share their art or be a part of the community.
What do you guys think about the importance of the ability to go quote unquote viral?
Well, it helps getting on my show.
That's a Cyrus question.
I mean, I think it's like it doesn't matter as much anymore. I think like it used to matter much more 10 years ago. Like one viral video doesn't matter anymore. I think consistency matters. So I think like, you know, you look at Dry Bar Comedy, like they had maybe a viral video, but then they had another and another and another. So I think I just don't think it matters.
Doesn't matter.
well, it's good publicity. Obviously, anything that you can help promote your career or whatever. I mean, whether it's a one-time viral thing or, like you said, a consistency scenario. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, obviously, anything is better than not getting any attention or whatever, and you're still featuring at Chuckle Huts for the rest of your life or whatever.
You still gotta be
so-
funny though. You know, there's so many comedians right now. There's so many.
Yeah, you have to back
viral
it up.
Videos, and they go up there, and they freaking eat a bag of, you know.
I mean, look at Trevor. You guys know Trevor Wallace?
Yeah,
Like,
Trevor
he
Wallace.
had the White Claw video, and
Yeah.
then he got this big sponsorship with White Claw. So
No, it was the
Zoomies. Zoomies was the first one.
it was the White Claws, whoever's against them, because White Claw, he had a shirt that said his tagline from the video, and White Claw told him to take it down, and so it was really smart. One of the other wine spritzer companies hired him, and so he switched over.
Oh no way.
It's brilliant though.
yeah,
They flew him in on a helicopter.
yeah. I saw
On
that.
a yacht.
Trevor Wallace is very good.
Well, this rolls perfectly into bringing up our first special guest. Please welcome Jay Hollingsworth
Hey, Jay.
Yeah,
from
Jay.
MTV, the Aska Show, and
Jay
All
Hollingsworth.
Deaf Digital. Jay, thanks for joining us.
Very
Thank you.
small guy.
Finally
Little
on a
Jay.
podcast.
Jay, what are some things you do beyond making people laugh?
Cry. No, I do. Speaking of a viral guy, me and my buddy Kev on Stage, who has like 4 million followers across social media. We do the show Aska, this show called Aska, which we branded as a show you get to ask questions of somebody you may not interact with on a day-to-day basis. So we had the real Rick Ross, Freeway Ricky, for Ask a Former Drug Dealer. We had Jessa Reed, Ask a Meth Head. We had Ask a Crip. We have this gangbanger on there, and then we have like Ask a Guy in Witness Protection. So that's something we do with that. And I mean, we're comics, so we'll have some funny parts in there. But I mean, we had a guy that attempted suicide. This guy Meech that has millions of followers and stuff. So and people love the show because we present it, we open it up, we say, hey, we're going to be interviewing this person today, what's your questions? And people will send in questions. So we'll ask our questions, then we'll say, so this is one of the questions that was presented to us, and people get to learn about, somebody they may not interact with. That, and then I do, in 2013, I recorded an album, and then after that, I think like a lot of, especially now with comedy, like fans of comedy, they love like the behind the scenes shit. I think people are so interested in that. So in 2013, for a year, I own the domain jokeaweek.com. I don't know how it was available, but I bought it back then, and I owned ajokeaweek.com. So in 2013, after my album, for a year, I posted me every week working out a new joke, and I'd be like, this is what I'm trying to do this week, and then I'd show it me doing it at open mics and at a show, and then at the end, I'd be like, this is what I like about it, this is what isn't good, this is what needs work on, and I did that for a year, and so I'm about to do that again because I'm going to record another album. So I think people love seeing like the behind the scenes shit. And it's like, it'll be different when you go to the club because hopefully it'll be worked out,
Yeah,
What
and
was
you
the original
differentiate
question?
yourself too.
What do you do besides just making people laugh?
No, but that's really cool though, because that's like really shows people who are up and coming comedians what they would have to do too. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Thanks.
And Jay, is there anything that you've noticed or saw a comedy or a comedian do that really grabbed your attention?
Well, just as a comic, comedian Bob Marley, I was blown away with just watching him do stand-up. And if you don't, a lot of people don't know him, but he's and I'll put him up against any comic of any time. The guy's unbelievable. But Actually, Kev on stage did something, and this actually will go to Kev, Tony Baker, all those guys they have millions of followers, and one of the things they said, you said it, consistency, and that's what Kev says about like you're getting your numbers up in your social media. You got to be consistent, and just as an example of something, always post stuff, even if you think it's stupid. Kev was in the green room. He sells out churches, and he's in the green room, and they had a bag of different potato chips, and you people may have seen it. And so he's like, "What's everybody's favorite?" And then they all went through it. They're like, "All right, Nacho Doritos is first, Cool Ranch is second, blah blah blah, Fritos is last." And then it was just in Kev's stories. Then he put it on his feed, and then it blew up from there. Then it was on the Today Show talking about it, and then Frito-Lay hit him up and asked to sponsor his tour through Texas. So and Kev did a video after that. He was like, all the videos I've posted to millions of people with comedy, and the thing that hits is me in a green room and just our hands going like, which one do you want? And it went crazy. So I mean, that I learned from that. I'm like, you never know what's going to hit, and you should be posting all the time, even if you think this is the stupidest thing you're posting. So that's what I'd say.
Any comments from the panel on that?
The stupider, the better.
I had a couple questions that I wanted to ask earlier. At your podcast?
Yes, the Hollingsworth.
Aska.
Oh, Aska, yeah.
How'd you get the witness protection program guy?
It's a friend of mine. I can't reveal who.
Okay.
But yeah, he did my podcast like a few years ago, and he's got a crazy story.
The guy from Boston?
It's a him.
You want me to just tell you his name?
Yeah.
Fucking Jesus Christ. No, it's not a guy from Boston, but yeah. He's a buddy of mine.
It is.
Yeah. That's going to be the final episode of Aska this season. But yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jay,
Thanks,
so
Amber.
much.
Thanks,
Have a
Big
safe
Jay.
trip
That
down
was
to Tempe.
great.
All right, we're going to bring up our next special guest, Spencer James. He is you've seen him on Dry Bar Comedy, and he works with Chuck Johnson.
Spencer. I love Spencer.
Hello.
Spencer, thanks for coming up. Same questions for you as well. What are some things you do beyond making people laugh, trying to help yourself stick out?
I don't know.
No, you don't know?
No, I just do, I don't know. I just keep writing. So, I mean, I think that's the number one thing. Are you looking for like a business answer to this? Is that kind of what it is?
Whatever you think.
He's a really
Whatever
likable
you do. I mean, think about it this way. How do you keep getting booked? How do you keep getting clubs to call you back?
I break comedy down into 5 things that you can focus on throughout the day. And that's your act, relationships, the 3 C's or 4 C's that Chuck was talking about, social media, and then television. And I think you should go in that order every day. So for me, that's the way that I go. I've seen a lot of people go the other way. They try television first, then they try social media if that's not kicking, and then now they're asking people 10 years later, the people that I work for. So I'm in a good spot right now. All the people I want to be friends with that pay their mortgages with comedy are my friends, and I could care less about being friends with other people that don't take it seriously. So
and
I know this isn't.
And how do you look?
Very nice guy.
How do you look forward to the future?
He loves all you guys.
I'm sorry. I take comedy serious.
That's
I
why
love
respect him,
stand-up.
because he's just to the
I
point.
love stand-up. I love writing a joke. I like seeing how it works. I like being in a room that nobody wants to go into, whether it be old white folk or an urban crowd or whatever it is. It don't matter. So.
And Spencer, it sounds like you're in a good spot. So what do you do other than the things on your checklist every day to make sure that comedy is your future, and to pay your mortgage, you're just working in comedy? What are some other things you plan to do or do every day to keep that lifestyle?
Well, one thing, Jay has the way that he goes about it, post everything. For me, it's not about social media and television. So it's how do I do that to get to the ultimate goals that I want to do? So, and now it's about that. I think bigger projects, long term, that's how I do it. I'm on ships a lot, so social media isn't really available to me. I'm on cruise ships. A buddy of mine, Landry, tries to do that. Landry tries to post all the time, but he has trouble with it. So about social media, you have to be consistent. Well, that's not an avenue that's available to me right now. So, but I'm hoping by March, there's long-term goals that are 6 months away that I'm like, okay, branding, marketing, all the things these people are talking about, that's the stuff that I'm getting into now. How do I stand out as just another white dude on stage that's speaking? That sucks that that's what it is, but...
Hey, Spencer, what was your motivation to start doing comedy?
The head casting director for Gilmore Girls told me to try it.
Beautiful answer.
I was
Makes
doing
me like you more now.
I was doing improv and I had an acting scholarship, and then someone said when I was like 22, 23, you should try stand up, and I was like, okay, that'll be easy. And then it was the hardest thing I ever did on stage. So I was like, well, I guess I'll do this for the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
Well, a little tip for you and also everybody else. I'm kind of a problem solver, so anytime somebody says something like, well, how do you fix that? So you mentioned, all right, I can't do this because I'm on a boat or whatever.
Damn, he's going to beat me to it.
You know that like you can do like Hootsuite and set up all your posts like in advance or whatever. So you don't have to, you can do all this programming ahead of time and take hours one day and just set it up for like, say,
buffer.
And yeah, whatever, and you can do this in advance. So I wouldn't use that as an excuse. Again, look at the how do you get over the hurdles of whatever you're. That's what I do in my business every day.
Sure, I
I've been doing
understand.
that from day one. Like,
Sure.
Here's a problem. How do I fix it? How do I move on? How do I get seen more? How do I get people come to Summit Comedy and instead of me going out and such?
Explain Summit Comedy in one sentence. Explain what Summit Comedy is compared to all the other colleges, all the other college bookers.
All right, so if you don't know Summit Comedy, I'm 21 years old. My bread and butter is the college market. So if you had to say that, I'd say number one in the college market.
Boom. So you can advertise that. You're number one in the college market. You know exactly what that slogan is that you're going to advertise and push. I don't know what that is. So for me, I don't want to push something, that isn't what I want to be. Does that make sense? Like I see a lot of people pushing.
I understand what you're saying.
I see a lot of people pushing things. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And for me, I'm just going to keep writing and hopefully it comes out in the writing. But for me, finding the voice. Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, where I'm at, 10 years it took me to write all this stuff, and then we do the Dry Bar special with Corey and a couple other guys, and then now that's done. I think now I know how to do stand-up, so I want to write to what I want to talk about now. And I have 15 to 20 minutes of that now that is not online, it's not on TV. I don't want to put it on social media. It's something that I want to build into 45 minutes that I really like and that says this is me. And then if I die right after that, I'll be happy. That's kind of where I come from with it, is to build something, and I don't want to advertise the product if I don't know what the product is.
Well, the thing is, the followers you have earned them from whatever you've done, whether it's on stage or whatever, and promoting yourself.
And they want to follow you.
You don't need a title or whatever.
But there's a
It doesn't
huge
matter.
gap between those followers, meaning dollars in my pocket. I have 2,000 likes on Facebook. That's not going to impress anybody at the Improv. That's not going to impress anybody at any comedy club. So there's a huge gap between me developing a following. Well, if I can make money, there's avenues. You know what my favorite thing is Margot Robbie. That's my favorite thing. If you look at, everybody know Margot Robbie? Everybody know who that is? She has like 127 posts on her Instagram. She has 26.7 million followers. She didn't get famous because of Instagram. There's avenues and vehicles like AGT that if you get on, who's the guy that just was there, sound effects?
Greg Morton.
Greg Morton. Great guy. He's been doing comedy for, I don't know, 2 decades, 3 decades?
20, 30 years.
And he was doing all this stuff. Then he gets on
But
AGT.
never said he was a comedian on stage.
No.
You notice that they steered him away from
Really?
saying a title.
Yeah.
Well, he's a phenomenal. I remember, that wasn't 2 years ago, he was beating the Can we curse on this? Yeah. Okay.
Fuck yeah.
He was beating the shit out of spiders and cockroaches in the loony bin, Tulsa, at the house. The house over here. He was beating it with a broom. And he was in a suit, and he was beating it with a broom, and he broke the broom, and he threw it like a fucking spear through into the other room. And then 2 years later, he's on America's Got Talent, and I hope he's doing well. He's a great dude. He's a great guy. But there's these avenues that exist that will pick you to say, you can advance, or if this is the product, we know what that is, we'll advance you. So my main thing is I don't know what I'm selling yet.
So I have another solution to his thing.
Okay.
Much easier. Is it much easier? Only because I've seen another cruise comedian constantly post stuff, and I've even asked him, I'm like, how are you posting this? You're out in the middle of the water, And what he does is he emails photos and exactly what he wants written to whoever runs his Instagram account, sister, mother, whoever, girlfriend, whatever, and they just post for him. So if you have somebody in your life that's willing to be nice and take and copy paste, that's the easiest way you can do that. Honestly, I love seeing there's a comedian on this festival, and she posted about, we were just talking about it, I think. she posted about coming here or going to a show, and it was all about waxing her lip. It was hilarious. I like seeing those videos because all of a sudden now I'm like clicking on your page. I'm seeing other things. Maybe you put a minute clip of your comedy. Next time you're in my town, I'm going to make sure to come see you. That's why the consistency is important. Get somebody who's able to help you a little bit.
I understand. I think with me and comedy, I'm all about how am I going to be, if someone comes across my shit 100 years from now, what are they going to think? I have one thing on IMDb. It's Laughs on Fox. I don't mind that. That took a lot for me to get that. Everything I've gotten to this point, I feel like I've earned. I feel like I've done it the right way. And I feel like I can talk to a lot of people that said, you've done it the right way. So I don't want to just start throwing out the window to make a lip gloss and video. Like, I don't, nothing against her making it or your interest in it. Yeah. But what are my interests and what are things that I want to do with my time? I feel like I'm in a good spot where I make enough money doing what I love to do. So how do we keep doing that at this moment? This was hard enough to get here. Yeah. I'm not just going to start fucking with it, and making it something else. So
it's okay.
I don't. Thank you, Jack.
Don't be angry.
So what? I'm not. No, I'm in a great
see him
spot,
as angry.
man. No, I'm in a great spot.
Not at all.
I think there's a lot of guys, especially in here.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that are making a living doing whatever it is that they love to do. I don't know what the next step is or how to get there. I don't think anybody does. Like that, the Frito story or whatever that was. I don't know what it is, but I do know that there's things that I'm working on. Like I said, there's television too. There's social media and then there's television. Well, I like writing. So maybe that's the avenue for me. So in the past year and a half, 2 years, my background is theatrical. Maybe it's a theatrical agent. Maybe it's to be a PA or a writer's assistant. Maybe I want to get into a room somewhere, just to get someone coffee. I don't know. So of course,
maybe you move into casting and you start casting television.
Start casting people?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I don't think that's
I think the best part about this industry is that they're like the best and worst part about this industry is that there is no blueprint. Like, there is no right way to do things or no wrong way to do things. So I think, like, there's multiple schools of thought, and that's a school of thought. Like, you prioritize the things that you feel passionate about. And I think, like, there's no blueprint, Like, there's any way, there's so many avenues you could take. Like you said, he has those 5 in order. And that's just, like, your priorities. I think all you guys, everybody in this room probably has different priorities, but as long as you
set goals for yourself.
Goals,
I mean,
goals.
I know you're big on goals, so like literally, just set the goals and obtain them, and try as much as possible to make them. You know what? You're not going to make all those goals, but
it's okay.
At least try.
2 things I would say is that's exactly right. One is it doesn't matter what your focus is. There's only so much time in a day to focus on one of those 5 things. That's what I was getting at. I know someone that's very successful at social media. That's what she focuses on, and she's very successful at it. That's what she chose to do. She likes doing it. She's good at it. That's great. But just, that's only so much time in a day on what it could be. And I would say, if anybody's listening to this or cares, make the goal as big as possible. Because I know one kid that, like, he got on a late night and he got to headline his home club, and now he's like, I don't know what to do. It's like, just make him as astronomical as you can. Because then you're not lost. Then you know what to do.
I think that's just a great point overall. Is this industry is gray. You can navigate it how you want. You can make it what you want. So why not just set your sights high and then have those little incremental goals to get there? And then at least you're doing something every day to create progress and create that reality for you.
You know what's great? I've heard a lot of people say they want to be on TV like that. A lot of comics will say that or whatever. I want to be on TV. I just read a great book, Small Screen, Big Picture. Has anybody read this book? It teaches you what it teaches you about television. It takes it through why Thursdays are the best for ad buys. It takes you why, like that, being in the room. I didn't know a staff writer. I didn't even know how much money they made. Like it literally breaks it down how television works and how many hours you have to put in and what it's like to be on a sitcom and those kinds of things. And I was like, I never knew that. So if anybody wants to read a book, I think that's a great book before you start going to casting directors and producers and being like, can you just put me on your show, please?
Small screen, big writer?
Small screen, big picture.
Big picture.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It was written in 2009, so yeah.
Any questions or thoughts before we bring up our next special guest from the panel for Spencer?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just because I haven't asked this question to anybody ever.
He's single.
Male.
Good to know. No, I'm not. So, but no, my question is, so with shows that I've worked on, I've seen one comedian come on a show like AGT, Greg Morton, how has Dry Bar helped you? I'm curious because that's an avenue that I constantly look at because I know it's clean comedy. After you were on Dry Bar, how did that help? Because people like Brad Upton has over 100 million views.
Oh, okay.
Who I love, Brad. But he's not on TV yet.
Well, I would
So
ask
I'm-
you that.
that's
Why
a-
is he not on AGT? Why is Brad? I love Brad. Brad's the reason,
So
a big,
Brad-
a
Brad
big
is-
influence
Brad's
for me.
I have an answer. Because
Brad can walk to the mic.
Brad reached out to
Brad
and was talking to another casting producer 24 hours before I reached out to him. So he's not working with me. That's why. No, I'm kidding. No, because sometimes just like Sam Comro, I think is a good example. It took him 4 years to get on our show.
Oh, he's so funny.
Yeah.
I just saw him. He's got residency at LA Comedy Club. He's so funny.
But it took him time to get on the show.
Yeah.
So Brad is definitely somebody I've talked to. I've definitely reached out to Corey. I've talked to you before because I've looked at I personally go to Dry Bar because I know these people have great jokes. They're on a good platform, obviously, and they can do clean, for a show like mine. So just being in a position I am, I'm curious how helpful Dry Bar has been for you since you've been on it.
I think Chuck even knows the answer. It's good tape. It's good tape. It allows people to sell you to other people. How everybody in this room knows how hard that is.
Does anybody not know what Dry Bar is? Raise your hand. All right, so Dry Bar Comedy is a company that's owned by Vid Angel. They're based in Provo, Utah. It's a Mormon-based company. So I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago they started this, and they decided to go after the comedy market because you can do the research on what this company does, but they were looking for another avenue to help promote themselves. So they had reached out to myself and many other people as far as booking clean acts. And to be honest, I first booked 3 acts with them mainly just for that, like looking for, these are comedians that I know that have trouble, they can't get a TV set or whatever, they're just great comics but just don't have that push or management or agency to help them get a TV set.
Were they on your roster, Chuck?
They were on my roster. So it was 3, it was Arvin Mitchell, Jesse Campbell, and Tyler Bowe. All those 3, I was like, hey, we need to get you a new tape, and it just worked out that they had reached out to me, and I booked all 3 of them, and they got an amazing tape out of it. It was a 40-minute clean set that I can edit to whatever I needed. You know what? And it worked out pretty well for me as well because they came to me and go, holy shit, those guys are great. Do you have more? And I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I got tons of people. Whether or not they're with my college roster or not, I just obviously know a shit ton of comedians. So it turns out that I've booked 43 specials for them so far. So, and mainly for that purpose. Obviously, I went out to the people that I like to push in the corporate market, because I do corporates as well. So I was like, all right, and especially in the corporate market, you need to have a good tape. If you're just at, say a club tape and it's just not production-wise, they're always gonna look at quality of that aspect. So I did that just for that. So Spencer was one of the guys I reached out. I was like, hey, I started working with Spencer more with doing some corporate stuff, and I was like, hey man,
and that's before all the viral stuff. We didn't know what it was going to do.
Yeah. I mean, I've been booking for a while with them for 2 years now. So yeah, so it was just cyclical because it was about 6-9 months before these things even started coming out after you tape. So they're taping again right now as we speak. So so those will be released probably in the spring, and you know what? And they've changed it a bit. They're
shorter sets now.
It's 20-minute sets. You know why? Because I think they're running out of clean headliners.
Yeah.
So it's easier to get as far as time.
So now they're looking for 20-minute sets. The pay is cut down down to a third of what they were offering, but people are still doing it just for that reason, to get a really good tape out of it. There are residuals on the back end if you do go viral to pay off your production costs. I don't know what that is. I mean, I don't know if do you get paid?
Yeah, I've gotten good checks.
All right, so once you pay off
not
your
as much as
production
Brad
costs,
Upton, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Corey probably got a good one.
The way
Corey,
it works,
both.
once you pay off your production costs, you start getting residuals.
Yeah, I'm not going to be out here by myself. I'm going to put your shit out there.
Some people don't get that. Some people, you know what? And I've also seen this too. There's out of those 40-something I booked, there's about 6 that were unreleased.
Oh, yeah.
So they did that. They got a paycheck, but they decided for whatever reason it wasn't the right brand for them as far as comedy.
Here's a great story.
And that sucks. It does suck because you know what? They're not releasing that to those comics. So they are holding on to that.
Yeah,
Right.
they never.
Right.
Well, here's
So-
the thing: is that Brad Upton was one of them. That's the funny thing about it.
Really?
Is that Brad? I don't know if you know this.
I didn't.
There was a group of guys that got taped, and the video started picking up traction. So Brad emailed them, and his video wasn't playing. It wasn't on. They didn't even put him up. So Brad emailed them and asked, "Hey, how about some of these other guys that have taped? How about you put them on your Facebook view channel now and see what happens?" But he emailed them, or else we never would have seen Brad. Brad reached out to them and asked, "How come you're not putting
The
these up?"
squeaky wheel gets the grease, man.
See, try.
One
Reach
simple
out,
email.
Be professional.
I was weekly emailing the kid who was doing videos and saying, do from 3 minutes to 5 minutes 40. Call it this. And he's like, this makes my job easy. Yeah, thanks. And so that made
Yeah.
mine. They wouldn't have put 5 of mine out, but they did, and now I got a decent amount of money, and my followers have gone up quite a bit. And then I've learned how to use Facebook ads and Instagram ads
Yeah.
to get to the shows.
Yep.
So when I book weekends, I'll just book a theater small.
Right. Yeah, every comic that's been released on there usually gets about 1 million views, which is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shows like mine and casting producers that I work with and myself do look at that.
I would
for
say that's what
sure.
it did. It just made other people. It's 7 minutes or 6 minutes of clean that someone can look at and say, "Oh, maybe I can use this guy." That's what I had it for. That's what's been the benefit. So.
Yeah. You can book like a luncheon in Bakersfield.
Oh God. Chuck just. No, he found me through him. He's
Summit comic.
I got a laundry list of stuff I can't say. I can talk about animals and caffeine. That's on the list. I can't.
Any final thoughts for Spencer before we bring up our next special guest?
No.
All right, thanks, Spencer. Joining the panel, we've got Jasmine Ellis coming up. She is an Austin-based comedian. And you recognize Jasmine from the Moon Tower Comedy Festival.
I'm coming next year.
Saw your set last night.
You did. Oh, well, I was supposed to be drunk, like that one.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 How are y'all doing? Sorry.
Great.
So Jasmine, same question for our previous guest. What are some things that you do beyond making people laugh to help yourself stick out, build your brand, build a following, all that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm probably one of the least senior comics on the panel today talking about this. So I'm still in the stage of hustling a lot, and I'm very excited about it. So for me, I am constantly, like, of course, just doing the simple legwork of like emailing people, catching up with people, touching base, not being aggressive about it, not like forming fake relationships and pretending to know people's kids' names, nothing like that. But like just making that effort to stay connected with people who've seen me before or people who booked me before. One other thing that I'm doing, and basically because I'm staying in Austin and staying in that market for a little while at least, and you can get a great following for shows that you're putting on, and that really helps you like build up your social media following because it's very grassroots. So I make a point of like connecting with people on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, like really just staying engaged with the people who are engaged with me. And also just like as a minority woman, there's a little bit of a niche there of like people who are specifically looking for Black female comics. So I'm making sure to follow those people who are wanting to follow people like me. If you're a fan of XYZ or like maybe like a Black Lady sketch show, if you like that show, I'm gonna like some of your stuff and you're gonna end up going, oh, who's this girl, and liking me back. So I'm just like doing the small work to build up that online following, but then not letting that get in the way of actually doing the work in the clubs, like being at shows, like just constantly trying to write. I've been trying to make myself write 10 jokes a day. I have not been sticking with it, but I've been trying just because I know that if I have a quantity of making more and more writing, okay, if I write 10 jokes a day, one of them may not be garbage, right? But if that means 365 jokes in a year, and then if I evaluate, that's like 20 minutes in a year. You know what I mean? Like maybe not, but you just want to keep thinking and keep pushing yourself. So I'm just hustling, really.
Well, that goes back to the goals. I mean, whether you reach those goals or not, I mean, you got to just set that. I mean, that's great that you do that. So.
Yeah, and Jasmine, with you being out there hustling day in and day out, for some of the newer or greener comics that might listen to this podcast after the festival, what are some things you've noticed are immediately successful, or what are some things that you're doing that you notice, oh wow, that booker responded back to me, where you've seen like a high success rate in some of these specific tactics that you're using?
nothing is immediately successful.
Okay.
Like I don't want to like flat out say no, but I feel like every booker I have to like, and the fourth email, we're clicking. Like it's for me, things don't always happen instantaneously. Like there's festivals I applied to, got rejected one year, in the next. I don't have this idea that any one thing is the thing. There is no one opportunity that will change everything in my career. So I just keep going and keep trying. I think some things that have been successful are just taking that time to meet with people after shows, because complete strangers are your supporters. Do not depend on your friends. When, like, especially new people. Like after a year, the novelty of you doing comedy is over. It's not cute. It's not fun. They don't care that you have a show on Friday. So you want to be talking to people and thanking them for coming out and listening to their stupid little story, because like you, that sounds so bad. I hope nobody who likes me listens to this and goes, oh, she thought my story was stupid. But like engaging with people, because those people are going to like your videos and share your videos. And if you decide to go the merch route, you know, and then like I've even had, like I just sold out a brewery show that fit about like 150. And I don't know anybody in Bentonville, Arkansas, but people who've seen me in Oklahoma and in Texas and Louisiana were like tagging friends and family in the post. So like just little things like that, building it up and always being grateful to who's paying attention to you. That's what I see like the most positive returns for, if that makes sense.
And I think that goes back to a lot of what the panel has been saying about being professional, being gracious, because sometimes that word of mouth is going to sell out a brewery show.
Yeah.
You're putting in the work. Keep it up.
Yeah, Jasmine's definitely one of the professional comedians that have reached out, and we've talked in the past. Like, she's always been super professional, and she's always gotten stuff to me super fast, within a week even, you know, and she doesn't like, hey, how you doing? Did you see my tape yet? Like, she knows, she emailed me. It's in my email box. I will get to her. She's super professional. But you did say something. You're like, you stay after clubs, after shows at the clubs.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's awesome. And I get like people have multiple shows, but I do see comedians that just stay in the back and that don't mingle with the audience.
Yeah.
And even when I was an audience member and I wasn't a part of anything close to the scene, that's what made me come out to the shows more. Was like, oh, I feel welcomed. Mm-hmm. So that's an awesome point.
And Jasmine, is there anything that you see other comedians do that really grab your attention and make something stand out for you?
Like in a positive or negative light, or both?
You know what? Both. Let's hear both.
Give examples.
Not names. But
Oh, names.
Yeah, you can
names.
give examples.
Everybody's path is their own. I definitely, like you were talking about hanging out at the club and being around, which is good too. I think sometimes people get a little too caught up in the hang though, like amongst their peers. And like you're saying, like if you're around better comics, they make you better. And like one thing, like, I mean, open mics are super important, but like don't let the reaction of your peers deter you from what is good, if that makes sense. Like sometimes it's like, I've seen comics who are newer and the back of the room is cracking up because they are saying stuff that is just like, because of the shock value of what they're saying, or because they're doing so bad. And they learn to like love a negative reaction and think that's a good time. And they kind of just get in this circle of like, oh, I had a good time at the mic, you know? Everybody laughs, like, you know, your 12 friends laughed, you know? Also, I made a deliberate effort to work clean. I started in the Dallas market where they have Backdoor Comedy Club. Weird enough, Clean Club, Backdoor was the name. But yeah, and you had to work squeaky clean to do that. So I would work clean in that room, and then I just took like every ridiculous gig that came my way. Like I did like a Nigerian wedding a year ago. Like I just like whatever would come my way so I could keep building time, because I'm not like a big name. So I feel like a lot of people, some of my peers, one thing that's a little negative that I see them do is they kind of have their nose up at something they don't think will have an immediate return. Like, oh, well, this isn't a big deal, or I've never heard of this, or, you know, they don't think it will turn into anything, and they're not looking at like the experience they're going to get out of it. Some positive things that I've seen people do. Just being really consistent with the shows they run. My former podcast partner, I used to run a podcast called Extra Salty, which you can find on iTunes, and it's really great. Just listen to it. Kai Krebs and we ran a show, and we made like a really great effort to connect with comics that were coming through Austin, because like Austin, I think, is one of those cities that are like on the come up. Like it's not LA or New York, but I feel like it's almost there. And when we'd have in my head, okay.
That's funny.
What do you mean? Okay, why the belly laughs on that one?
Well,
What,
there is two comedy
Austin just
festivals in
garbage?
Austin.
Is it like why? What was that? Say it with your mic. What's so funny? Say it with your mic.
It's not LA, New York.
I know.
That's it.
Okay.
She said almost.
I said almost.
Okay.
It's good. It's fun. I like Austin, but it's not LA, New York.
Okay. Well, I came from
haters.
I'm not hating. Just
I came from a scene with even less industry exposure.
Yeah.
So it was a great place to be. And a lot of people want to come through there. So we just made like a really conscious effort to follow up with comics from LA and New York and other scenes that we wanted to perform with and make sure that they were taken care of on our shows. And we treated our own show, even if it was like kind of just like a bar show vibe, we treated our own show like a networking opportunity. Every time that you're like, to me, there are no shows that are for playing around. Like I always want to have a good time, but nothing, like, I've seen people kind of categorize like this show is just like whatever and this one matters. They all matter. Every single show I do matters to me.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, you never phone it in. I mean, I do see a lot of comics that just, you never know who's in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some comics just I go in LA and such and just drop in and see a set. And I just see somebody just phoning it in, and I walk away like, you know what? Sometimes I'm looking for people. I look for people all the time, so I'm always have my eyes open for whether it's a corporate or a college or whatever. And there was one person specifically. I was in Flappers, and I saw this guy do a set, and he would just phoned it in, and it was just half-assed. And I walked away, and I was like, nah. It made up my mind. I mean, immediately. So
it's because you're at Flappers.
You are so LA smug. Just
any final
I go
thoughts?
wherever the jokes are.
Any final
I'm in
thoughts?
Flagstaff now.
Yeah, you are. That's true.
There we go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just because I'm curious, and you can better explain it. How do you build yourself in a smaller community like Austin or Dallas compared to LA? How do you get noticed by people like us?
That's a good question. For me, sometimes it's just the proximity. Some people are born in California, so a move to Los Angeles doesn't mean, being away from every person they've ever known in their life, So for me, I was born in Texas, so I kind of went that route and started there. But I'm not going to act like that makes me trapped. So how you build up yourself in a smaller scene is like take advantage of the opportunities that are there. Like when I was in Dallas, there were people who were like, oh, well, I don't do that kind of room, or I don't do this kind of room. And I would make a point to go to every kind of mic that there was just to get on as many stages as possible. But also, I applied to a lot of festivals, maybe a little like early in the game, but I think it got my name out there. Like I was like 1 or 2 years in applying to festivals. And the good thing about, like, there's good points to living in a smaller place, a place where the cost of living is lower. So maybe you're like, it's not a lot of industry out there, but you're not spending as much to get by, so you can travel a lot more. Like Texas is much more drivable, and I invest money I make from shows. I invest right back into my car. I invest into my website. I kind of look at my money, the little bit of money that I'm making in comedy. Not that it's bad, but it's not like I'm not famous or anything. But I look at it as while I'm here, there's a lot I can get done, and you can just. It's kind of nice being close to these. I don't want to use the expression. What's a nice way to say a town that doesn't really have anything going on? Like. Is Podunk? Okay, I was gonna say Podunk, but I wasn't sure if that was like. Okay, so the good thing about these little places is they are appreciative of comedy. Period. These big names are not gonna come to their town. They have to drive. Yes, they have to drive 2 to 3 hours to someone. So you get real time, and you can grow. Also, you get to perform in front of people that don't have the same perspective as you. And I think that helps you grow. So you just have to be willing to leave your small town a lot if you want to be able to stay in your small town and do anything of value. Yeah.
A follow-up question. So when you're like that, when is the time to break out of that small town?
Well, that's a great question because I've been feeling like I wanted to make the big coast move like in the last 2 years or so. And then life situations happen. Also, I have this like deep fear of being poor, and like LA's real expensive, New York's real expensive, and I'm real expensive. I like nice things, and so it's, you know what I mean? Like I have a huge walk-in closet with purses that I like right now, and I don't want to be selling my purses to like, I don't want an apartment the size of the closet. Like I'm scared. Like I don't.
Instagram video about all the purses. Which one's the best one?
Yeah.
Now, how does that work out? Because you're married, so like, would your husband move out there, like follow you?
That's a great. Well, for us, it works out. My husband, I met him doing comedy, and he's super supportive. He's actually moved on and is focusing on writing. He's working on a horror novel right now. So he's just like in a different mind space, but he gets this. So it's funny what you're saying about how the road is lonely and terrible. We do the road together. Like, the other day he forgot to like check the air on his tires, and we had a flat tire in Nashville. On the way to Nashville, and I was going to audition for NBC, so we didn't make the audition because somebody didn't check their tires, but it's fine. It's like,
Sounds like it.
So things are fine.
So he started writing about it.
That was his horror story.
There's like the version of it where I just kill him and leave him in that ditch. But no, it's I think you have to have people in your life who understand that this is what you not even just like what you want, this is what you will have. They have to be affirmative of it. They have to be like, oh yeah, no, Jasmine's going to make it as a comedian. So we're not going to treat it like a little hobby. When she has a show, that's a thing. If she has to miss XYZ dinner with my family because of the show, I'm not going to give her crap about it because I value that. So you have to have a circle, or if you have a circle, make sure that circle values what you want out of it. But when do you know when it's time to move, which was your original question? I guess what I've heard before is when you have hit the ceiling in your scene, when there is nowhere else for you to go, and you've accomplished what you can from that scene, and you need more, and you're going to get more. Personally, I kind of feel like I'm scratching at it. So, like, I have the goal to move in, like, the next year or so.
Nice.
So
Congratulations.
But I just don't want to be poor, so I'm figuring it out.
But you make the world look pretty, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Any other questions before we let Jasmine go?
I don't have a question. I just want to say, like, you have a good perspective on comedy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege. Like, nobody's making us do this. I not to poo-poo on comedians that are a little on the negative side, but like no one makes you do this. No one puts a gun to your head and says you have to be a comedian. If you don't love it, go find something you love and just do that. But I really, really, really love this, and all I want is the opportunity to do it all the time. That's all I want.
You have great energy. You have really good energy.
Thank you. Yes.
How long have you been doing it?
It'll be 6 years in November.
Nice.
Do you think I haven't been doing it long enough to hate it? No. Okay, I can.
Yeah, because he's an angry guy.
He's not angry. He's focused.
I've known her half that time.
Are you an Aries? Like, he just has a different vibe.
Like,
he's
come
not
around.
angry.
I got five things.
I do have another question, I
10
guess.
years
I
you're
hate
gonna be
being
like
the
me.
only person on the panel asking questions. Can I ask one more
No,
question?
of course you can.
Is
Yes,
she the
yes.
only female guest, special guest?
Yes, because we've got one more.
So
Okay.
that's you know where I'm going with
Yep,
this.
okay.
Is like where do you think is the biggest struggle or block being a female comedian?
Ooh.
Or even a more diverse female comedian?
Yeah. I'm just going to say it. People have specific expectations of specific people who fit groups. And the general idea, it's kind of like that old joke of like the old riddle where you're supposed to figure out who's who, and the doctor's really a woman, and everyone gets it wrong because they don't expect the doctor to be a woman. People expect the comedian to be a white man. They do. It's in their head. It's like the first idea of it's the default of a funny person. Like, for example, I was in a Lyft, and the Lyft driver was like, where are you guys going? And I told him where, and he's like, oh, you going to the comedy festival? Who are you going to go see? And I was with another girl, and she's a female comic, and she's like, oh, we're actually on the show. And he goes, oh, what do you guys do on the show? Are you, like, putting it together? Like, oh, we're comedians. Oh, you guys do, like, stand-up comedy? Like, you're comedians that do comedy? I don't, like, my husband never got that question. Like, he never, ever, first of all, I get asked if I write my own jokes all the time. My husband never got asked that question. It's just like, you're not the default in people's head as a funny person. So you have to kind of get their, you have to get people to trust that you're funny in a way that I don't believe men have to. Also, there's like a weird safety element of it. When I like, if I meet somebody and like, oh yeah, we should go on the road together, I'm like, but I gotta get my own room, so I'm gonna be paying twice as much as you, and like, you know, so there's that barrier of like, networking isn't as easy when you're the opposite gender of the people you need to get around with, like, or even like weird little things can be interpreted as flirting when they're not. And there's just like there's so many things to navigate, but I feel like it's like that with any male-dominated industry. But I do not believe being a female makes it harder for me to do this. I just believe I have to navigate it different. It's just a different road. That's all, I think.
Funny is funny.
Yeah.
Rises to the top.
But don't you think sometimes audiences are a little bit like, if a guy is struggling, they'll give him a second to get there. If a girl's struggling, they're like, I knew this bitch wasn't funny. I knew it. I
agree 100%.
They check out faster, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you have to you can't be too loud on stage. You can't be too quiet on stage. You can't wear a dress on stage.
Well, I wear dresses. I like being
you.
girly. I like being super femme all the time. That's how I express myself. That feels true to me. But it is weird because other female comics will go, oh, I didn't know we were dressing up today. And I'm like, girl, we ain't doing anything. Like,
Exactly.
I don't think it's female comics. I just think it's good-looking people have a harder time to prove themselves. Like Spencer. That's why he's always angry. He's a good-looking guy.
He's so beautiful.
Wait,
Is he?
Spencer's good looking?
That's what I was about to like. What? Wait, that's why he's single.
That's the model?
Hello.
All right, guys. Good night.
Thank
Bye,
you.
John.
No, I appreciate that.
His golf game.
All right. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you so much for having
Thank you so much.
Go Texas.
All right, we've got one more special guest. Please welcome Kerri Rodrigues from Dry Bar Comedy, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and Laugh Tracks.
Yeah. What's up, Kerri?
What's up, guys?
Welcome.
Man, what's up, man?
All right, Kerri, we're kicking this off with the kind of same question for all the other special guests. What do you do to kind of make yourself stand out and build your brand and try to find that success in comedy?
I do, besides stand-up, I do like a lot of videos online on Instagram. I'll do like these Ask Denzel videos where I have people ask me questions and I'll answer them as Denzel Washington. And I'll so those grow people send their videos with their kids doing it and whatever.
Let's hear it, Denzel.
Do my name.
Naela.
No. Hey, Denzel, how's the festival going so far?
The festival's going well. It's not bad. Huh? So I do these videos online, so people will hit me up, and I'll do those. So that's fun. And besides just the stand-up, I just try to. The theme of this whole podcast has been consistency, and I think that's the biggest thing for me. From day one of doing stand-up, I just feel like if I was consistent, that like everything else is just so easy. Like if someone can leave you in the room and fucking walk out, some booker can just walk out the room and leave you in the room. You're gold, you know what I mean? Because there's so many people that you gotta watch, and they're like, oh, don't say that, when they put you on stage. So like just consistency. That's how things have really grown for me, and everything, and not thank you, and not being afraid to, like, this is after years of doing it for a while, but not being afraid to like bet on myself. So if I go to some club and I've never been there, and clearly I'm a headliner, I've been headlining for a long time, but if someone's like, I've never seen you, I'm not too cocky where I'm like, well, I'll only headline. I'm like, fuck it, I'll feature, because I'll headline next time, I'm pretty sure. You know what I mean? And I'm not being a dick about it, but I'm just saying, I'm being honest.
How long you been doing it? Stand up?
13.
13 years.
Yeah, it was 13 in May.
It's great.
So that's just kind of how things have built over time, just being chilled in those situations and just going to do it.
And how has your hustle changed from the beginning part of your career to 13 years in? Do your daily tasks stay the same, or?
I think I work a little smarter now than I used to work. I used to, like, I just know what I want. Like, I know if I'm going to a mic, I'm working some shit out, and I'm not just going there to say stuff that I know works. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to work out, and I don't care. Early on, I used to feel like if I would go do a mic and somebody killed in front of me, I was like, oh shit, I got to go back into the bag of good stuff, Yeah. But now I don't care. I don't care if you kill in front of me. I'm here for a purpose, and so I need to see what's going to work out of this stuff that I'm doing. No matter how good you do in front of me, I don't care. If that's the purpose, to be there for that. So that's how my hustle has changed. But I used to not be like that. I used
Your ego.
Yeah,
You don't give a shit.
Used to be way, way different.
And how has the scene just changed within your 13 years? How you used to promote yourself 13 years ago versus now in 2019?
So, amongst my dealing with the bookers and stuff like that is the same. I'm still the same. I try to be persistent, not annoying, but at the same time, like there's this weird place you can be. Okay, so let me answer your question. The way it's changed is that I think the comics have started to change a bit in the way that they view the way they do what they have to do. Meaning, many comics will call me and they'll say, like, they'll be like, oh man, I can't fucking get booked. You know, this person won't book me, they won't book me or whatever. They keep putting these shows together, they use the same people. I'm like, when was the last time you reached out? Well, I reached out last year and they didn't get back to me. And I'm like, well, you gotta fucking reach out. Like, keep reaching out, you know? And then if you talk to a booker, they'll tell you, like, I'm double negative. I'm not putting you on the show because I thought about you and I didn't want to put you on the show. They're like, I'm not thinking about you. Like, you're not in their mind. They're not purposely not booking. I'm sure there's some that they're like, not this guy. But they're not purposely not booking you. They're just putting on who's around, who they know is doing well, who they see online's doing well. So they're not sitting around like, oh, I got to get everybody who I haven't talked to in a year on the show. And so, like, this is the conversations that I have with a lot of comics. And I'm, like, trying to talk them off the ledge constantly. And it's like, just be present.
We get a lot of emails, too. I mean, holy shit.
I'm still on September 1st emails.
Like,
right.
I'm not joking.
So it's a numbers game. So you think about just that example right there. I mean, I don't even want to look at my inbox. I haven't checked it all day.
Never.
Don't want to look at it. It's scary.
It's just crazy how many emails. So there's the supply and demand. It's that whole thing. So there's so much supply of comedians, and then every person only books so much stuff.
Yeah.
So it's that aspect. So it's just So
I think you should book the bookers on Facebook, become your friends, and then book other shit and have them see, oh look, he's here, he's there. That's how I get all my shit. Like, I'm always working because I'm not booking next month. I'm booking 6 months from now. Yeah. So a booker's like, I'm not booking it that far out. I said, well, put me in your calendar. It's in 6 months. And they go, okay. And then it just continues.
I have a question. How many comedians are registered here that are showcasing? Does anybody know the answer to that?
50.
Okay, how many are in this room?
So there were
Correct.
50 comics.
50 comics, and
that
there's
made it into Big
12
Pine.
here. Yeah. So there's 20% of the people here. So those are just perfect examples of like, hey, you were at a festival. Yeah. We're all pretty accessible. I mean, and we do a lot of festivals, and I'm like, come talk to it. This is your time to talk to us and ask any questions you want. Whether or not you want to hear my reaction to your set. I mean, if you come up to me and say, what did you think? And I'll say, do you want my honest opinion? Yeah. I will tell you. Yeah. But that's just it. But the thing, this time is invaluable to talk to us, whether it's asking questions here, and I get it, some people are a little shy, and especially they don't want to like approach us. I have to assume most of us are approachable. Yeah. I know there's some that maybe aren't as much, but I have no problem talking to comedians and such. Yeah. And so that's a perfect example of trying to utilize the fact that you are here. Say you know, again, there's 35 people that are not here that should be.
Yeah. And I'm noticing definitely who's not here.
Because they're having wings at Green Room right now.
But just to go back to that.
Bye.
I'm really wanting wings right now.
Spencer James, do you have a question?
Honestly,
probably a lot.
I've honestly, there have been about a dozen comedians that I have seen on this festival that I have never met. You know, even some people who are based here in where are we? Flagstaff? Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I'm going to a festival a month this year. I say LA for everything, even when I'm in New York. I'm horrible. But he made me think of something that really recently weirdly irritated me. And you just made me think about it. But you need to be consistent. You need to reach out. You need to keep those relationships. Recently, I went to a showcase. There were like 30 comedians there. They were in a comedy class. And I legit wrote my cell phone number on the wall on the blackboard. I was like, this is my cell phone. And they're like, oh, my God, you want to give us your cell? I was like, yeah, call me tomorrow. I still have over half of the people during this podcast are hitting me up. I'm like, I don't remember you. if I come out to a showcase, you should be calling me the next day because you're fresh on my mind. A week later, I'm like, I got to pull out my notes. I don't remember. I hope I have the notes on me.
You're already at the next festival.
I'm already at the next festival. So when you meet people, make sure you reach out to them right afterwards. Don't wait like your friend a year. Don't wait a year. Reach out consistently. Not every week, but maybe more consistently than.
Right.
You just made me think about that.
Here's another thing that you talked about earlier about just keep creating and such. I often say this in my business, and it's not only as a comedian point of view, but as me as a business owner, I have this mantra that stagnant is death. Stagnant is death. So whether you're sticking with the same jokes over and over and over again, not writing new material, it's death. You're gonna stay in that lane forever. And I look that way for my business as well. It's like if I just have the same comedians over and over, say in the college market, first off, I mean, the college kids, always stay the same age. It's 18 to 22-year-olds. But the comedians age out of that market. So I'm always looking for the new, fresh faces. So it's stagnant is death. So just keep that in your mind as far as writing new material, throwing away the shit that just doesn't work. I mean, I don't care if you, hey, this is my 15 minutes or whatever, but you maybe got 5 that are solid. Cut the shit. Let it go. Keep writing. Move on. Stagnant is death. Mm-hmm. Hashtag.
I appreciate that for sure.
Can I be a bit? I want to just go back to Jessica. I'm sorry.
Jasmine.
Jasmine. I'm
doing
sorry.
Jasmine was up.
So, you guys were talking about just being in a scene, that's not LA or New York. I'm in Boston right now. I lived in New York for a while. I moved to New York. I lived in Brooklyn. Things were going well. I wasn't, in all fairness, I wasn't taking it as serious as, I would now if I moved back. I feel like a continuing ed student now. I go back and it's like, oh, magna cum laude, whatever, when they go back, they're always fucking great, right? But like when I was there the first time, it was just kind of like, this is just what you do. But at the same time, when I was living there, I was like, I'm a grown-ass man living here right now. I was already 30 plus. I already had my own place and shit before that. Now I'm living with roommates. They're all shitty. Roaches and shit. I'm like, fuck this. I can't. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to live like this. I want to have a family.
Is that Orlando?
Right? No. He lived up the street. He had his own roaches up the street. Yeah. I was like, this is what I want. This was my thought process. I want to have a family. I was like, I want to have a family that's going to grow with me while I grow doing this. Now, this isn't traditional. People are like, you got to be in New York or LA. It's the only way you can do it. You can't have a family. You're always shit's going to be long. I don't subscribe to that. I moved back to Boston. I had 2 beautiful sons right now. Have a girlfriend, and right, but that was from moving from New York. I didn't get the shit I got until after that. So Dry Bar helped. Dry Bar, the Big Sky Comedy Festival helped. Once the Big Sky, and I know some of you from Big Sky, right? Once we did Big Sky, then the relationships I met at Big Sky were just from any festival, from doing shit like this, getting to hang out. This is why this festival is on the come up right now, is because you have the opportunity to rub elbows with the industry right here. You have a fucking beer with them, have a mimosa with them, have whatever you're doing, and you have a chance to break down those barriers and talk and have real conversations, see if they actually like you. Because they might not even love your comedy, and they'll fucking put you on something because they like you as a person. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I learned at.
I love everyone I cast. Even the guys who poked in the bellies this season. All they did was finger each other's belly buttons. I love them. J-Light.
AGT. That's what I learned at Big Sky. That's what's cool about here. And from moving back to Boston, being in not a major market, I got Conan from there. I got Laugh Tracks from there. I got like New York Comedy Festival from there. I got a lot of stuff from there because I still do go on the road. I still do audition. I still do festivals. So you can live in a town that's not New York or LA and get this shit done. It's just work. Which a lot of comics, I hate to say it, I'm not speaking like I'm some prophetic fucking comic, but I will say a lot of comics are lazy as shit and they don't want to go. They don't have the capital. Like I do all the C's that you were talking about, Spencer. I do cruises, clubs, colleges, any way that I'm pulling in money, a decent amount, I'll do that. And as you do those things, it gives you the ability to pay and go to a festival. Go to a fucking festival. But if you don't have the money and you're like, oh, the wings free, and like little poor ass comics, you can't go then you can't do anything. You know what I mean? It's like you're just looking for handouts the whole time.
Are the wings free?
You know what?
Is
I'll
everything
buy everybody
free?
wings.
Free wings.
You know what I mean?
Everybody wants some wings, we'll just buy some wings.
No, I mean, I like free wings. I'm just saying, if that's all you can afford when
And
you're there.
in closing,
But I think it's a good
Free
point.
wings
You
for
said
everyone.
that how long have you said you've been doing this?
I've been doing it 13 years.
But you said you started, so it's almost like you said magnum cum laude. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, right.
But it brings a good point. Like it is like school.
Yeah.
You don't just graduate. You have to get there.
Right. And it's just I've been working consistently, working hard, and then again being able to
you
afford
are
those
likable,
things.
bro.
Yeah.
I've met you so many times. You're nice to everybody. You're so likable, and that's why you're doing well.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you're hilarious.
Yeah, thank you.
But the likability makes me want to watch your set.
Yeah.
The likability. You're so you're funny, man. You're just good.
Thank
You're
you.
gonna make it.
Thank
You already
you, man.
made it, but you made it.
Was it me that reached out to you from AGT, or was it Destiny?
You did. So I pulled up this.
You pulled it out. Relax.
Yeah. So.
Did I say you
Dial-up.
suck? I don't know.
No,
What
you
did I
didn't say that.
I
You
would never write that.
said, "Hello."
Oh fuck!
And
He's
then-
gonna read it. It's like the Bert Kreischer thing all over again. I didn't do that.
No,
I'm
she
gonna
was very
post it.
professional. She was professional.
Let me see.
But this is what sucks because I wish I had dealt with you. But this is what happened. You were like, "Hello." Brian Baldinger told me I should reach out to you. Now Brian was at the Big Pine Comedy Festival. This is where all those connections
Big Sky.
come in. Big Sky. I'm sorry, Big Sky. So it's like all these fucking connections. Everything I got came through
He books
connections from
laugh
somebody
tracks.
else. Yeah, he books laugh tracks. And so, anyways, she was like, Brian Baldinger told me I should reach out to you. I am casting for America's Got Talent. I think you're really hot and would love for you to come back and hang out with me for a little bit. Oh no, not that part. I'm sorry.
Just like her. End the podcast. That was it.
Nyla's boyfriend's listening to this podcast.
And
right
in
now.
closing,
I really hope my boyfriend's listening to this podcast. I love it.
That's a DM on Instagram too, by the way. That's not
Wait,
that's
what,
not
did I
an
DM
email.
you?
No,
Is it
it
DM
was
on
on
Instagram?
Tinder. It was Facebook.
Oh,
It's
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah. So what she really said was, I would love for you to email me 2 90-second to 2-minute routines. And then she sent her stuff. She sent her how to contact her and everything. And then I wrote back to her. I said, hi. And I said, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm currently working with Haley from AGT because you're supposed
Haley's not at AGT anymore.
Perfect. So we need to work together again. Let's talk about this shit after. But I was told that you're supposed to be like, if you're working with one of the producers, you have to say right away one at a time. So I was like, oh. But yeah. So anyways.
And then the follow-up email was, get sick.
That was in Snapchat. I don't have the follow-up. That's all I was going.
Lose a limb.
Lose a limb.
No, she wrote back, Haley's the best, is what she wrote. That's what she wrote.
All right. This is fun.
All right, guys. So we are starting to run really short on time. So let's take a couple questions from the audience. Go ahead. I'm going to have to repeat it back into the mic, just so you know. Okay.
I'm from the same scene as Corey, from the New England scene.
Hey.
I'm just going to kiss your ass for a second, but Corey is who we watch to be like, he's, of all the people, because there's some legends that have come out of Boston, but of all the people, we watch Corey to go, what is he doing? He's like setting the bar for us, and I want to just say 3 quick specific Corey things that I've learned that's helped me. And one of them is he has more jokes, just always writing, always workshopping shit. You never see him 2 times in a row with like just this tired ass shit, which Boston is sometimes a place where you're like, I've seen this for 20 years. He's the person that we look to be like, damn, this dude has hours of shit. The other one was he used to have clipboards at the end of shows that would take people's emails. We would back on him and we'd be like, go get your fucking actress for that show, get your name. And we would laugh at it, and then I was like, wait a minute, he's killing. He's the only one that left the word. Get me a fucking and then the other thing was just
There's a program for that.
Where we're at, and I learned this specifically from Corey, was if someone gives you a foot in the door or a vouch, you kill for them, so you make them look good and you make yourself look good. So those were just 3 Corey specific.
I think you should take him on the road with you, Corey.
That's my dude right there. That's my dude. Thanks, Brian. That's my brother.
Great job.
That's my dude, man.
Any other questions? Yeah. Go ahead, Anthony.
When you're moving forward, you get an EPK and everything, you're trying to stay on the professional side of it. When we're sending you those emails and trying to reach out and everything, do you guys want, you said fill up more than once or twice, do you have a span of time you want, or, do you want the same EPK, or do you want us to change a little bit? Just we're constantly trying to update it, make it look better and better. But do you want, when we're sending you updates,
how often should the comics be reaching out, and what should they be including in that, and how often should they be updating their EPK?
I think everybody's different as far as an agent goes.
100%.
I mean, everybody has different avenues where they book and what they do. Like when people ask me, like they send me a link or whatever. Like, well, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for clubs or corporate or colleges or whatever? So you got to be specific, I think. I mean, in certain, for me at least. So again, everybody's gonna have their own little thing. So I mean, the college market is Summit Comedy's bread and butter. I mean, it has been for 21 years. So when I get something for that, and people are constantly trying to get into that market because it's a very lucrative market if you can get in and do well. I'm very, very picky on the people that I choose. I literally maybe bring in 2 to 3 people a year, but when that happens, I let 2 to 3 people go. So I have a roster of like 30 clients that I feel. I don't want to be the William Morrises of the world that they brag about. We've got 110 comedians on our roster, but they're not all getting serviced. So
can I just say, with Chuck, he will work the shit out of you. Like he's one of the dudes.
That's all I've heard about him.
He's one of the dudes that a lot of comics. Because I work with I have a different agency.
Right.
But like I talk to Chuck's guys. You know what I mean? Multiple of Chuck's guys and women. Right? I don't want to fuck Chuck. Talk to his men and women that he has. Homosexuals, he hires everybody.
Transgender.
Sorry, Chuck.
Alphabet people.
Yep.
All right. I mean,
but he will work. I'm sorry. He will work you, and it's like it's cool. Like he's one of those people you want to be with because if you get on his roster, you're getting dough, and he doesn't piggyback off of you like a lot of other college agencies will. You can get everybody in the room can get a college agent. I guarantee you can.
It's
but
easy.
a lot of them are going to piggyback off of you and wait for you to do well at a NACA or do well at an APCA, and then they just jump on your back. He's calling you to give you gigs, whether you've done a NACA or APCA at all. He's like, hey, I got this gig for you. That's how you know you're with a good college agent.
Well, I always say that when you're on Summit Comedy's roster, it's part of Team Summit. Like everybody that's on my team, I take care of them. Whether it's, I mean, I'm constantly talking to other agents outside of what I do and try to help them out, whether it's casting and such. And I mean, I don't want to toot like a horn here, but I literally just signed Jasmine last week.
What? Yes! Good.
That means nobody else is getting that shit.
And hold on, and I've had my eye on her for a little bit, and I've been watching, and I watched a lot of stuff, and we've corresponded. Like, you know, I'm very picky. Like, I need to see more material. I can't. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just things like there's a pecking order. Like, yeah, great. The fact that I'm talking to you is the first step. That I've seen 5 to 7 minutes or whatever that to get in the door, and they're like, great, now send me your hour. That's usually when I lose half the people because they're like, oh shit, we need an hour.
Yep.
Fuck. So she backed it up within like 2 weeks. Here's my special. I'm taping it coming up, and then right then I saw it. I mean, it was done. I was like, done. So within 24 hours, I had her first booking. So I've got her. And I mean, it's University of Wyoming, whatever the fuck, whatever. Good luck, drive safe. But still, like that was just last week. So thanks for that. But like again, like a good agent, again, you need to find somebody that's gonna work as. I mean, you should be your biggest fan. You should be your biggest fan. You are a comedian, and you need to work on your business and such. What you need to do is when you find representation, you need to find somebody that's as close as your biggest fan as yourself as you. Because like that, the piggybacking and such, like I will fight for every one of my clients for that reason. They're on the roster because of that. I have faith in the people that are on there. They're there for a reason. They're not just a notch on the roster. So if you're not getting work and I can't sell you, the market tells me that. The market tells me, you know what? It's just not working out for you. It's time to let you go. Spencer.
Oh,
Jesus.
Wait. Anthony had a question. I just want to definitely answer it really quickly. You asked how often is too often. Personally, for television, just because, you know, with TV, normally for the show recently, or for Gong show, or for the show, I Can See Your Voice on Fox that's coming out soon, so I hope you all watch it. But for shows like that, it's only usually a 3-month increment of when I'm casting. AGT is totally different. It's usually 9 to 10 months. So if you are reaching out to somebody like myself, I think you should definitely be reaching out every 3 to 4 weeks. Because if I haven't heard from you in 2 months, oh, I've already cast the show. But if you're like, hey, I sent you that tape, is it good enough? Okay, I can change it up. What do you need changed? You know, something like that is definitely more important for me. So for television, if you are in contact with somebody like myself, I think every 3 weeks to a month is the best time to reach out. I just want to interject before we moved on to the next question.
And it goes down to everybody's different. So ask them.
Quarterly.
Ask them. That's the first thing you should ask.
Hey,
That's the
how
first
often?
thing you should ask when you interact with them. How should I contact you? You know, how do you like to be contacted? How often should I contact you?
Take notes. Keep track of those notes, so you have like everybody in like their notes or whatever.
Like I know that he's on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast, so he knows not to call me at 9 a.m. He'll most likely call me at noon. So maybe if you're in contact with somebody like myself, as a point to this morning, don't call somebody at 6 a.m. You know, put the word Los Angeles next to their name, maybe, to help yourself out, not piss them off. Someone text messaged me at 5:50 this morning. Oh my God, I just got your email. I'm so interested in being on your show. That's just.
Wait, Spencer has something good to say.
Yep. We have officially reached the end of this panel. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you to the panel. And enjoy the rest of the festival.